How's it going, everybody? So, finally moving on to the Phantasm series. Phantasm. This is actually, I think this is the first video out of like 220 or so films that I've covered that I actually was able to hold up the physical media for it. So, feeling good about that. 1979's Don Coscarelli's amazing film, Phantasm, which I love everything that Coscarelli's done. Like, the whole Phantasm series is one of my favorite series in horror that I love and still don't know what the fuck's going on like 50% of the time. Like, every single movie in this franchise. Like, I sort of get it, but I don't. Like, it's weird. But just the whole feel and atmosphere of this movie is so dreamlike. It's so nightmarish. It's so surreal. It's so unsettling. It's so brilliant. Like, the whole feel of this film and the whole tone to it and the atmosphere and just the dreamlike nature to it. Like, it almost, this whole series reminds me of David Lynch's directing a little bit. And Coscarelli's always kind of reminded me of Lynch in certain ways, but especially with the whole Phantasm series. Like, just with all the dream logic and dream imagery and stuff and the surreal nature to it. Absolutely awesome. The score for this movie is fucking iconic, and I adore it. Like, the score is so good in this movie. Like, and it's pretty much mostly just the main theme, which I said in Suspiria, which is pretty much the same thing, besides like the little like tribal music that plays at certain little scenes. Suspiria is just the main theme over and over again, but it's so effective. It's such a great composition that it works every time, and it's the same thing here with Phantasm. Like, the main theme is so good for this series, and especially, for this first film. It works amazingly throughout the whole film. So we have Tommy, who's a friend of Mike and Jody's, who are brothers, and Mike's like, I think, like 10 years old or 12 years old in this? No, 13. Or he's going to be 13, because Jody's saying how when he turns 13, he's going to send him off to live somewhere so Jody can like live his own life. So Mike's got to be like 12, and Jody's his older brother. But then Tommy's a friend of Jody's and Reggie's, who we meet later. And Tommy's in the Morningside Cemetery fucking this blonde woman, and then he ends up getting stabbed to death because the woman turns out being the Tall Man, played by Angus Scrimm, who's just a legend and is amazing in this franchise. And I've always had to wonder, since like he's fucking the girl, which is the Tall Man, right? Like, in that form. Then, like, in the middle of sex, he just turns into the Tall Man and then starts stabbing him. Is he fucking the Tall Man, like, in his true form, too? Like, when he changes from the girl, like, I'm assuming he's inside the girl, he's fucking her. And then he just switches to the Tall Man. So is he, like, still fucking the Tall Man? I don't know how any of this works. And there's going to be a ton of that throughout this whole franchise, like, for sure. But he gets stabbed to death, Tommy, and Jody and Reggie go to Morningside Cemetery for his wake and everything like that. And the funeral home, the whole Morningside Cemetery setting and the funeral home are fucking iconic and are absolutely awesome. Like, the whole way this whole film is shot, but particularly just the scenes in the cemetery at night and all the scenes that take place inside the funeral parlor and the funeral home with the marble hallways, and just, it looks so cool. Like, it really is such a cool setting for this first movie here. Then we get this cool shot of the Tall Man lifting the coffin all by himself through Mike's binoculars, which is a really cool shot, and showing that he has superhuman strength. Now, the whole scene with the psychic old woman and like her granddaughter, I still don't know what to make of that scene. Like, I mean, I get it, like, the whole don't fear thing is just to prepare him for later in the movie when he has to go through the portal and not to freak out by how it feels and just don't fear, then he won't get hurt. That's like the only thing I can take from that, is that it's just a lesson he learned early in the movie to use it later on. That's all I can think of, because the box materializes right there on the table, like right in front of them. Like empty table, no box. Box just comes into existence. Then he puts his hand in and he can't get his hand out, so he's freaking out, and the girl keeps saying, "Don't fear." And then when he finally relaxes, it's able to come out, kind of like one of those Chinese finger traps where you put your fingers in, you try to take it out, and it doesn't fucking work, but you gotta like push them in and relax your fingers, and it'll slide right out. That's what it reminds me of. But that whole scene, because then the box disappears too. So I'll get to this kind of in the end, but I don't know what else to take from that whole scene. Like that whole psychic old woman with the granddaughter scene. Except for, that lesson that he learns. Like, don't fear. And then later on, he doesn't fear touching the portal, or like going through the portal thing. And then Reggie and Jody playing guitar. And they're actually playing, which people who follow and watch enough of my shit know that I always bitch whenever there's a fake band or somebody fake playing an instrument, because I'm a musician, so it bothers the shit out of me. We got both of them playing here. I know Reggie Bannister plays music, like, besides acting. And let's talk about Reggie for a second. Reggie is such a great character. Like, he is such an underrated character in a franchise. Like, Reggie Bannister is the best. Like, he's such just a sweet guy, funny as shit, fucking, he's smart, and he's just has so much character and charisma to him, and he's so awesome. I love Reggie so much. And then he uses a little tuning fork for his guitar, which comes into play a little later. And then we have the whole cemetery scene, which, like I said, looks fucking awesome. They're at this whole scene with Jody taking the girl on a date in the cemetery, and they're making out, and she's got great tits too. We get to see her tits, really nice. Mike gets to see the tits too through his little binoculars. He's a little fucking voyeur, this little kid here. And Mike and Jody's dynamic, I absolutely adore it. Absolutely adore their brother relationship. Like, just the way that they fight, and the way that, like, when Jody doesn't believe Mike, like, the way Mike just fires back at him, like, leave me alone, like, fuck you, no, it wasn't this, like, and he has this one line when he says to him, after this scene, when he's talking to him about what chased him in the cemetery, and he's like, it's probably a gopher or something. He's like, it wasn't a damn gopher, like, something about that line always cracks me up, like, it wasn't a damn gopher, like, fucking, the most random thing, like, that is not what he saw. And he just names it a gopher. Fucking, that's so funny. I love that. And the first shot we get of one of the dwarves when he attacks Mike in the cemetery is awesome. And it's so funny how he lets out that scream, and then we see this a lot, but like when he screams, then he's like, and runs across the fucking screen. That's so funny. Like, just his scream is hilarious. And then Jody comes after him, and he's trying to explain that he saw something, and Jody's just downplaying him. It wasn't any gopher. And then the whole shot of Mike laying in the grave, like on his bed, it's supposed to be. And then the dwarfs all come up on the sides of him, and the tall man's at the top of the, like, where the ground is above the grave. And they fucking come and, like, just, like, jump on him. Awesome. I fucking love that shot so much. That is such a great fucking scene right there. Short little scene, awesome shots in it. Then we have the cool shot of literally cool shot of the tall man at Reggie's ice cream truck. And like the cool air coming out and stuff, which it's been a while since I've seen, especially 2, because Phantasm 2 is like the one movie that isn't for free on every streaming service. And I think that's why over the years, since I'm lazy shit and it's so much easier to just push a button while I'm already on like a streaming service, and 2 is never there. And I'm pretty sure it's because like there's different rights, there's like a rights issue and stuff, because the actor who played Mike in the second one is a completely different actor than in this one, and then this child actor comes back in the third and fourth one. So it's probably that, but I mean, I have it all on DVD. I mean, I could just throw it in, but I don't know. But oh, the car, the fucking, it's that too. The car is such a fucking major part of this movie and franchise. The Barracuda looks awesome. The black Barracuda is so cool in this car. Yeah, it's so cool in this car, the Barracuda. It's so cool in this film. Barracuda. Really cool. Then yeah, that's what I'm saying. With the later films and stuff, they go into that more. That like the tall man is afraid of the cold, or he likes the cold. It's one or the other. I forget. Doesn't seem like he's afraid of the cold because in this movie, and when he's in that cool shot with the cold coming out of the ice cream truck, he seems like he was enjoying that shit. So I think he's good in the cold, but he's not in the heat. But I'll find out when I watch the second one. Then we get a cool. There's a lot of cool jump scares in this movie, which like I said in a video recently, I don't know if I consider it even like a jump scare like how we have them today in like the last 20-30 years, but they are jump scares, but they're well done, like very well done. Like when Mike's in the garage and the dwarf just appears and scares the shit out of him, like that's cool stuff. Like I love the designs of the dwarfs, even though yeah they look like little fucking, what the hell are they called from Star Wars? The Sand People? Not the Sand People. I think I already called them it once at some point in this video, and I just can't remember. The ones with the fucking hoods, you know what I'm talking about. Looks just like those guys. But, and then Mike goes to the cemetery, to the funeral home, and he ends up breaking in, and just the whole opening shot of him entering the, funeral parlor when he's climbing through like the curtains through the window, and just the way that the whole parlor like looks, that whole room that he climbs into, like looks really cool. I like that shot. And then he hears the guy coming, and there's no fucking way he got into that casket in 2 seconds. Like there's not a fucking chance. Like no way in hell did that happen. This guy was like basically in the room or walking right around the corner 2 seconds away, and Mike all of a sudden is just in a casket. Get the fuck out of here. There's no way that's happening ever. In the dream, not dream, in any situation. Maybe in dreams, I guess. So just not reality. So it's not happening here. And then, but we do get some cool camera shots like through the casket, like from Mike's POV, which is cool. And then we get the first appearance of the sphere, which are so cool. Like, I fucking love the spheres from this franchise. What a cool, just unique little design of a contraption that kills motherfuckers. You don't see it anywhere else. Like, you see a fucking sphere flying around, first of all, fucking run. But you think Phantasm was the first thing and only thing that you think of. Awesome. And then Mike ends up cutting off the tall man's finger after he chases him, gets his hand stuck in the door, and the yellow liquid, pus, whatever the fuck it is, that's squirting out of it. And then the dwarves end up like, when he's trying to climb out the window to escape, and they're grabbing his foot and stuff and pulling him back, and then the shoe falls off and he escapes. Awesome stuff. And then the whole finger fly scene. Now I gotta really wonder, because on this rewatch I was thinking, during this scene, like when he shows Jody the finger in the box with the yellow ooze and shit, and Jody believes him, like he finally says, all right, I believe you. And then the fucking finger turns into like a bat creature and starts flying around, and the two of them are trying to catch it, and then like there's like flying against the walls, like as they're like holding onto the bat and stuff like that. I gotta wonder if Sam Raimi was a fan of Phantasm. Because I know he started working on Evil Dead like in 79 when this came out. Evil Dead didn't release until like 81, the earliest, because I know it released in some places in like 83. So I wonder if he saw this movie and liked some of that slapstick, because that's some decent slapstick humor there with the bat and stuff with that scene. So I wonder, it reminded me of Raimi a little bit on this rewatch, and maybe just because I just watched the whole Evil Dead franchise like a few months ago, so it's fresher in my head. Really kind of gave me a Raimi feel. And then they end up shoving the thing down the garbage disposal, and it comes back up, and then they finally get it back down again. And then Reggie shows up, and Reggie doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And then, like, they finally fill him in, and I love what he starts saying. Like, let's go stomp him out about the tall man. Let's go kick his ass. Let's go beat this mother. And that's something weird, too, with this movie, is that they could have said motherfucker or fuck. Do they say fuck in this movie? I'm not sure. But there's 2 times in this movie. That one time with Reggie, and then a much bigger moment when Mike says, with the car scene, when they're driving in the car and there's no one driving in the driver's seat, and then Mike all of a sudden says, there's nobody driving that mother. Or maybe it's Joey. It's one of them. But it sounds so weird. Like, I don't know why that was the line that, like, was written. Not motherfucker, or just a completely different phrase, but just the word mother on its own, like, sounds weird. Like, it really does. And then I love Jody's line that he tells when he's talking to Mike, when he says, you don't point a gun at someone unless you intend to shoot them, and then you don't intend to shoot somebody, you don't go to shoot somebody unless you intend to kill them. Awesome advice, awesome dialogue, awesome lines, cool stuff. And then Jody goes to Morningside, and we get the whole car chase, and that's when he says there's no one driving that mother, which is just so stupid. I really don't like that at all. And him wanting to kill the tall man. And then they end up leaving Mike with the girls. What the hell are their names? Both with an S, I know that. Sally and Susie? Sally and Susie, I'm pretty sure. I didn't write it down. But then they get into a whole car attack and stuff, and the dwarfs end up trying to take them out of the car, and Mike's in the car with them in the back, and the lighting coming through and stuff. Really cool scene. Like, I like how it's shot. Like, really cool. And then then we find out that Tommy is a dwarf. And then we kind of like find out that basically that the tall man is an alien from like another dimension. And I can have this completely wrong, so someone let me know, like, if this is not it. Even though I've seen this fucking franchise so many times, I still don't know exactly what's going on. So he's an alien from another planet or dimension, and he's taking all the bodies from the funeral home, and because of gravity, to get them to his planet, he's crushing them down to half size while they're dwarfs, and then shipping the containers back to his home planet so they can be slaves. Is that it? Like, does that sound like what's going on here? Because that sounds fucking good enough for me. Until I move on and watch the second one and remember all the new questions that come into that, and then my mind will be a spinning. And then the homemade bullet hammer, awesome. That's so cool. Like, when he locks Mike, and I love that about, like I was saying, about their dynamic. When Mike's saying, like, I'm going with you with to Jody, and Jody's saying, no, you're staying here, and he ends up picking him up on his shoulder, carrying him up the stairs, and Mike's fighting him the whole way. He's like, put me down, you son of a bitch. I love that. Like, so funny. And then he just takes the bullet, and he tapes it to the hammer, and then he goes on his lock on his door of his room, and he just smashes it and blows the lock off. Really, really ingenious there. Good ingenuity. And then the whole little like scene with the front door, when Mike's walking out and he opens the front door and the tall man's there with the blue light on him and everything, and then starts chasing after him, and the theme music kicks in. So good. Like, absolutely good. And then the whole point of view from the spheres looks awesome too. Like, I love the whole point of view from the spheres, which I remember them doing a few times in this franchise. So, awesome stuff. And then we get the first shot of all the barrels in the room and stuff that they're stacked on top of each other. That looks really, really, really cool too. Like, pretty much nothing negative I can say about Phantasm. Like, as I get into some of the sequels, yeah. Like, especially Ravager. But, not the first one. Really not much I can say negative. And then we have the whole little portal and stuff, which like kind of reminds Reggie of the tuning fork for his guitar, because they're two, like things that you put your hands on. And that's like the little portal that ends up going to their dimension or planet, whatever you want to call it. And it has like red sky everywhere and like barren land. And you see like a line of like the dwarves all lined up. Looks really, really, really awesome. I love that shot too. And then, oh, I love this little scare that we get with the when the lights go out and the power goes out. And then Jody tells Mike to to turn his lighter on, and he turns the lighter on, and there's just a dwarf right in his face, and then he just screams and he jumps on him. Awesome! Like those type of jump scares work for me for some reason. Probably because there's no loud ass fucking violins playing and shit. Like that's probably exactly why. But then we have Reggie messing with the portal, and then he causes like a whole like gust of wind or like a void or some shit, and all the barrels start getting pulled into the gateway into the portal, and Reggie almost flies in there also, but he ends up making it out, and he says to Jody and Mike that he ended up getting Susie and Sally out, and that they're safe and everything. And then the tall man is pretending to be the woman from the beginning who was fucking Tommy, which the tall man was too, I guess. We covered this, but she's laying on the ground, and Reggie goes to help her with the kindness in his heart that Reggie is such a great person, and he ends up getting stabbed, and Jody ends up setting the trap up, which is cool, with having the whole little abandoned mine shaft, and Jody sets the trap up so that when and with the theme music playing at the end and everything, so fucking good. And the whole ending scene when they capture the tall man or trap him, and he falls down the trap into the abandoned mine shaft, and they trap him there, and apparently that's where he's gonna be for a little bit. I forget where it takes off from the second one. I'm pretty sure the second one doesn't take off right from the end of this one. I'm almost positive. Almost positive. And then we find out that it was a dream, and that Reggie's alive, but Jody died in a car accident. So the whole events in the movie was a dream, but then at the end, Reggie says, let's go on a road trip, and we'll figure it out when we get there, like where to go, and to go pack your shit. And Mike goes up and starts packing his stuff, and then we see the tall man in the mirror, and we hear the boy, which is fucking iconic, and the music is playing slow, like, which is awesome, and it starts speeding up during that scene, and just the tension is building and building. It's so good. And then as soon as you hear the boy, and then he grabs him through the mirror, and he gets pulled through the mirror, then the music starts playing like at its regular tempo, like for the credits. Fucking awesome. But so the tall man is there, so it was all a dream. But then I know Jody is in the sequels, like. At some point, he's a sphere, like he's a ball in one of the spheres, and he's like that's Jody inside of the sphere in one of the movies, and he's like a spirit in another one. Like, I don't fucking know. Like I said, this is going to be like such a hard series to like talk about because I have no idea what's going on. So apparently that was all a dream, but it wasn't, because at the end the tall man's still there, and he still knows that he's boy. And they grab him. But I remember the house exploding at the end of the second one. Like them escaping and blowing the house up. So I don't know. We'll find out in Phantasm 2. And I don't know when I'm going to watch that. I'm probably going to watch Puppet Master 3 in a little bit. But within the next day or two, I'll have 2 and 3 of Phantasm up. Alright guys, I will see you in a little bit with one other video.